Welcome to qnawire.
All right, I will point something out. That this graph that you're looking at is ibuprofen. Paracetamol, acetaminophen. I've seen the spectrum before, and I recognize it as being paracetamol. You can Google it and see. And the reason that's useful is because it's actually really hard to tell what number the various peaks are at. So that peak that's near 150, that's 151, right? So the parent ion, M plus peak, that's 151. Just thought I'd point that out. And the peak that looks like it could be 108, that's actually 109, right? So the tallest peak. Okay, just wanted to point that out because that's important, right? We basically just use the peaks at 151 and 109 to make two observations, right? So the first observation you could make is that the parent ion has an odd mass. Which, as we know, implies that we have an odd number of nitrogen atoms. Right? If you have an even parent ion, you either have no nitrogen or 2 or 4 or 6, etc., etc. Not super common, right? But most of the time, if you have an odd mass, well, you have at least one nitrogen. You either have 1 or 3 or 5, right? And in this case, for paracetamol, we actually do have one nitrogen atom. So that's one observation that's pretty useful. Another observation you can make just looking at the parent ion is that you don't have, I'm actually going to give you a few observations here, don't have chlorine or bromine, right? Remember, these have very, very distinctive M minus 1, M plus 1 peaks, and M, right? So for chlorine, you have the two equal height, you have the 3-to-1 ratio peaks, and for bromine, you have the two peaks where this is M plus and where this is M plus, right? And since we don't see that, we know we don't have chlorine or bromine. That's another observation you can make. The next observation you could make is that you've got a gap of 42. Right? So a gap of 42 atoms in mass also tells you something, right? I'm just doing this as 151 minus 109. Essentially, what it's implying is that you've got some functional group or combination of atoms that can be easily cleaved that have a mass of 42. That's the point you can make with that. And that's basically it. I mean, that's 3 observations you could make from a mass spectrum. Uh, Anything else? I'm sure there's other things, but there's at least 2.